नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तन्तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। अध्याय 3 संबंध भाष्य। भाष्यकार is taking on Vrittikara, who interpreted Bhagavad Gita much before Shankaracharya. To understand this portion, we should know Vrittikara's contentions. In his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Vrittikara makes 2 statements. One statement is Jnana karma samuccaya is the means for moksha. Another point is Kevala Jnana can never give moksha. These are 2 statements in the introduction. Then, while explaining chapter 3, Arjuna's question, he has contended that the question is meant for ascertaining Jnana Karma Samuccaya. Arjuna's question ascertains Jnana Karma Samuccaya as the message of Bhagavad Gita. This is one more contention. And then, while explaining Bhagavan's answer to the question, he makes another statement. Krishna accepts various ashramas. Bhagavad Gita endorses the option of various ashramas. Which implies sannyasa is accepted. If sannyasa is there, if sannyasa is allowed by Krishna, if this is Vrittikara's contention, then by accepting the possibility of sannyasa, Vrittikara is contradicting his own previous statements. That is what Bhashyakara said while refuting Vrittikara. By accepting the option of ashrama, Vrittikara has accepted the possibility of sannyasa. And sannyasa involves giving up of karma. Giving up of karma and taking to kevala jnana, committing oneself to jnana alone. Therefore, by accepting the options of ashrama, Vrittikara is contradicting his own statements. His statements in the introduction as well as his statement while explaining the question. Because there he has argued in favor of samuccaya, and not only he has argued in favor of samuccaya, he has clearly stated that kevala jnana will never give moksha. Without karma, kevala jnana will never give moksha. This is his strong contention. And by accepting the options of ashrama, he is contradicting his own contention. That is what Bhashyakara said earlier. Then to defend himself, Vrittikara tries to reinterpret his own statement. Vrittikara says, when I said kevala jnana cannot give moksha, I didn't intend everyone. Then who did he intend? He intended only grihasthas. When he said kevala jnana cannot give moksha, what he intended was a grihastha cannot get moksha only by means of jnana. Therefore, that statement of Vrittikara is not in contradiction with accepting the options of ashrama, acceptance of ashrama vikalpa. That is how he is trying to resolve the contradiction. Then Siddhanti objects once again. Siddhanti says, if you say only grihastha cannot get moksha by kevala jnana, then it will imply that other ashramis can get moksha by kevala jnana. In that case, you are contradicting another statement of yours. What is it? Jnana karma samuccaya gives moksha. Still there is contradiction. To resolve one contradiction, you are bringing another contradiction. Therefore, even if you say only grihastha cannot get moksha by kevala jnana, your contradiction is not resolved. Because you have earlier made the statement, jnana karma samuchaya alone will give moksha. Your samuchayavada itself will be in danger. Then Purvapakshi modifies his statement further. When I said, grihasthanam kevala jnanat moksha pratishidhyate. By the word kevala jnana, I didn't mean jnana without any form of karma. What I meant was jnana without shauta karma. That means jnana with the smarta karma. So my word kevala jnana should be understood as jnanam without shauta karma, but with the smarta karma. So kevala jnana should be understood as jnana with the smarta karma. Therefore, my statement was, a grihastha cannot get moksha without shauta karma, even if he performs jnana and smarta karma. That is how you have to understand my statement. Then jnana karma samuchaya is not in danger, because all ashramas. So if I say grihastha cannot get jnana without shauta karma, only with jnana and smarta karma, only by jnana and smarta karma a grihastha cannot get jnana. That will mean other ashramas will get jnana, will get moksha with the jnana and smarta karma. Therefore, I have not allowed giving up of all karma in any ashrama. That is how he is resolving the contradiction again. Trying to safeguard his samuchayavad. In the meantime, save his statement. So that much we have seen yesterday. So he has modified his statement. We will read. Athamatam shauta karma pekshaya etadvachanam kevaladeva jnanat shauta karma rahitat grihasthanam mokshah pratishidyate iti tatra grihasthanam vidyamanamapi smartam karma avidyamanavat upekshya kevaladeva jnanat jnanadeva kevalat mokshaha. What is there? Na mokshaha iti uchyate iti. Yeah. So this was the last modification of the Purvapakshi. he said, my contention is a grihastha cannot get moksha without shauta karma. That is what he meant when he said a grihastha will not get jnana with the kevala jnana. So kevala jnanam should be understood as jnana as well as smarta karma. What is the purpose? If kevala jnana is understood as jnana plus smarta karma, then his statement will imply that other ashramas will get moksha with the jnana and smarta karma. Therefore, they will also get moksha with the samuchaya only. That is how samuchayavada will remain intact, despite his statement. But for a grihastha, if he gives up shauta karma and does only smarta karma and jnana, he will not get moksha. That was his intended message when he made the statement kevaladeva jnanat moksha na. So he is modifying again. This much we have seen in the last class. So now Siddhanti says, we will read etadapi viruddham. Even this is viruddha. Even this is not free from contradiction. Katham grihasthasya smarta karmana samuchitat jnanat moksha pratishidhyate natu ashramantaranam iti katham vivekibhihi shakyam avadharayitum. So this is also viruddha. Even this has contradiction. Katham, how? Because Purvapakshi's statement does not even sound logical. It does not sound logical because if grihastha cannot get jnana without shauta karma, then how can other ashramis will get jnana without shauta karma? Or if other ashramis can get moksha with jnana and smarta karma, why a grihastha cannot get? It is like if a brahmachari can travel by aeroplane, why a grihastha cannot? There has to be some logic. If one can travel by an aeroplane, another can also travel. Just because he is grihastha, he cannot travel. A brahmachari needs one ticket and a grihastha needs another ticket. It is not logical. If one means lead to moksha for one person, the same means should lead to moksha another person also. What is the basis for this distinction? गृहस्थस्यैव स्मार्तकर्मणा समुचिता ज्ञानात् मोक्षः प्रतिषिध्यते. For a grihastha alone, grihasthasya eva smartakarmana samuchita jnanat, the jnana which is combined with the smarta karma without shauta karma, moksha pratishidhyate, moksha is negated for a grihastha. Natu ashramantaranam, but for other ashramas, smarta karma and jnana can give moksha. Iti, this contention, katham vivekibhihi shakyam avadharayitum, how can a viveki understand this? How can a viveki accept this? How can a rational person accept this? Viveki means a rational being. How can he accept? Katham avadharayitum shakyam. How can he ascertain this? Kincha yadi मोक्ष साधनत्वेन स्मार्तानि कर्माणि ऊर्ध्वरेतसां समुच्चीयन्ते तथा गृहस्थस्यापि इष्यतां स्मार्तैरेव समुच्चयः न श्रौतैः. किंच, moreover, यदि, if a grihastha, if a non-grihastha is called urdhvaretas. Anybody other than grihastha is called urdhvaretas. Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi, all three are collectively called Urdhvaretas. Urdhvaretam Virupaksham Vishwarupaya Vai Namo Namaha. So Urdhvaretas is a term common for Brahmacharya, Brahmachari, Grihastha and Vanaprastha. Urdhvaretas, Sakaranta Shabda. They are called Urdhvaretaha because they are not living with the wife. It is Trijana Asankirna Ashrama. Therefore, Urdhvaretaha. They practice celibacy. Therefore, they are called Urdhvaretasaha. So, for Urdhvaretaha means for other ashramis, Smarta karma plus jnana is the means for moksha. Then the same should be applicable to a grihastha also. Why a grihastha cannot get moksha with the smarta karma and jnana? What is a problem with the grihastha getting moksha with the same means? Yadi, if moksha sadhanatvena as a means for moksha, smartani karmani samuchiyante, the smarta karmas are jnanena samuchiyante. They are combined with the jnana. and this is acceptable for urdhvaretasam, for other ashramis, then why it cannot be done for grihastha also? Tatha grihasthasya api ishyatam. Then let it be so for a grihastha also. Grihasthasya api smartaireva samuchayah ishyatam. Let a grihastha also combine his jnana with the smarta karma alone. Smartaihi eva samuchayah ishyatam. Ishyatam, let it be accepted. The samuchaya with smarta karma alone. Na shautaihi, let a grihastha also not combine jnana with the shauta karma. Why there is a bias against grihastha? Just because he is grihastha. He has already so many other headaches. And along with other headaches, you are putting shauta karma also into his head. Whereas the other three ashramas, they have only smarta karma. Atha shrautaihi smartaischa grihasthasya samuchayah mokshaya urdhvaretasam tu smarta karma matra samuchitat jnanat moksha iti tatra evam sati grihasthasya ayasa bahulyam or bahulyat. Yeah, ayasa bahulyam is okay. Ayasa bahulyat is also fine. Both are fine. Ayasa bahulyam seems better. Shautam smartancha bahudukharupam karma shirasi aropitam syat. Yeah. Atha, if shautaihi smartaischa grihasthasya samuchayah mokshaya. Grihasthasya eva. For a grihastha only, shauta karma and smarta karma, with the both of them, jnanasya samuchayah, the combination of jnana, mokshaya bhavati, it leads to moksha, klupi sampadhyamanecha. Urdhvaretasam tu, but for urdhvaretas, for the other three ashramas, smarta karma matra samuchita jnanat mokshaha, they get moksha only with the smarta karma and jnana. The jnana combined with the smarta karma only, without shauta karma, they get moksha. Iti tatra evam sati, if it is so, then grihasthasya ayasa bahulyam. Grihastha will have ayasa bahulya, greater pain, greater strain for grihastha. Because shautam smartancha bahudukha rupam karma, karma which is bahudukha rupam, which is very painful, which is very taxing. What? Shautam smartancha, both shauta karma and smarta karma. Shirasi aropitam syat, it will be loaded on his head. You are loading a grihastha's head unnecessarily. Greater burden is loaded on his head. And it is injustice for a grihastha. And there is no reason for such injustice, Shankaracharya says. Atha grihasthasaiva ayasa bahulya karanat मोक्षः स्यात् न आश्रमान्तराणां शौतनित्यकर्मरहितत्वादिति. Now to escape from this attack of Shankaracharya, Purvapakshi changes his idea. He says, then we will accept that only grihastha will get moksha. Others will not get moksha. Because grihastha is doing shauta karma. Other ashramas, there is no shauta karma. Only a grihastha can perform shauta karma, agnihotradi. Because to perform shauta karma, one should get married. The shauta karmas are performed with the wife. Sarvam hi patni sambaddham karma. Without wife, one cannot perform shauta karmas. Not even wife, patni. Patyurno yajna sanyoge. So it is patni sambaddham karma. That is why only after marriage he takes to shauta karma. For all other ashramas, it is only smarta karma. Even a brahmachari's karma, sandhyavandanam, samidadhanam ityadi, even they are smarta karma. It is not done in shautagni. Therefore, only a grihastha can perform shauta karma. And urdhvaretas cannot perform shauta karma. Therefore, Purvapakshi says, since grihastha is making lot of effort, let us give him moksha. And let's assume that the other three ashramas, since they are not performing that much karma, they are not going to get moksha. Atha, if grihastha, then, so now Purvapakshi is changing. Then, if you say we are doing injustice to grihastha, Siddhanti said that we are doing injustice to grihastha. Then Purvapakshi is bending backwards to do greater justice to grihastha. Then grihasthasya eva, for grihastha alone, ayasa bahulya karanat, because of his greater effort, mokshah syat, he will get moksha. Na ashramantaranam, not the other three ashramas. The other three ashramas are not doing so much of work. They are just sitting and studying and eating. They are not doing work. So they will not get moksha. Na ashramantaranam. Why they will not get moksha? Shauta nitya karma rahitatvaditi. Because they are not performing the nitya karma, which is a shauta. Shauta nitya karma. Agnihotra ityadi. They are not performing. Nitya karma means the obligatory karmas that are enjoined in the Shruti. They are called Shauta Nitya Karma. The Urdhvaretaha is not performing Shauta Nitya Karma. Therefore, he will not get moksha. Iti. Then Siddhanti says, even this has no basis. Where are you getting such ideas? It is your own imagination. There is no basis for such a statement. You should look into pramana. Without pramana, you just speculate something. How can it be true? Therefore, Siddhanti makes a reference to pramana and says, your contentions are not valid in the Shruti pramana itself. It does not find validity in the pramana. Why? Because the Vedas, the Shruti, enjoins sannyasa as a means for moksha. Sannyasa is enjoined as a means for moksha. See, tadapyasat sarvopanishatsu itihasa purana yoga shastreshu cha jnanangatvena mumukshoho sarvakarma sannyasa vidhanat tadapyasat. This statement of yours, a grihastha alone will get moksha. It is asat. It is incorrect. It does not find any validity in the Shastra. Why? Sarvopanishatsu. In all Upanishads, not only in the Upanishad, also in Smriti Granthas, in the secondary literature, in the secondary Shastras, which are based on the Veda, even in them, and Bhashyakara enumerates them, Itihasa Purana Yoga Shastreshu cha. Itihasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata, mainly Mahabharata, because Mahabharata talks about moksha. In Ramayana, you don't find much discussion on moksha. So, Itihasa and Purana, in all the Puranas, as well as in Yoga Shastra. In the Yoga Shastra, the books that deal with the yoga, Upasanam ityadi, in all of them, Jnanangatvena, as a means for jnana, as an anga for jnana, as one of the auxiliary means for jnana. Mumukshoha sarvakarma sannyasa vidhanat. For a mumukshu, sarvakarma sannyasa is enjoined. Giving up of all karma is enjoined. So there is Shastra Pramana to say that Sarvakarma Sannyasa serves as a means for moksha. And now Purvapakshi may have a doubt, or somebody listening there might have a doubt. Does the Shruti really permit various ashramas? Because in the Shruti we find injunctions like Yavad Jivam Agnihotram Juhoti. One should perform Agnihotra as long as one is alive. If that is the case, if one has to perform Agnihotra all his life, he has to remain a Grihastha all his life, because Agnihotra is performed by a Grihastha. Then, because of that statement, one might get a doubt. Is sannyasa and other ashramas, mainly sannyasa, really permitted by the Shastra? One might get this doubt. Then Shankaracharya says, sannyasa is very much permitted by the Shastra, because in the Shruti itself there is injunction of sannyasa in several places. Ashrama vikalpa samuchaya vidhana cha shruti smrityoho. In Shruti as well as Smriti, both of them, ashrama vikalpa and ashrama samuchaya are enjoined. Ashrama vikalpa and ashrama samuchaya. Ashrama samuchaya means going through all ashramas one by one, and thereby combining all ashramas in one's life. Even that is possible. There is a statement in Jabalopanishad, Brahmacharyam samapya grihi bhavet, grihi bhutva vani bhavet, vani bhutva pravrajet. Brahmacharyam samapya grihi bhavet, grihi bhutva vani bhavet, and vani bhutva pravrajet. First one should go through brahmacharya, upakurvana brahmacharya, the student life in Gurukula. After brahmacharya, one should go for grihastha, garhasthya, grihi bhavet, one should become grihi. Second ashrama. And then grihi bhutva vani bhavet. After garhasthya, one should become a vani, vanaprastha. And vani bhutva, after living as a vanaprastha for a while, pravrajet, take to sannyasa. Thus, four ashramas are combined, it is called ashrama samuccaya. Here we should note that samuccaya does not mean he becomes all four at the same time. He is a grihastha and a sannyasi at the same time. It is not possible. One by one. Not a saha samuccaya, krama samuccaya. It is ashrama samuccaya. Then the same Upanishad talks about ashrama vikalpa also. Optionally taking to any ashrama after brahmacharya. Brahmacharyadeva pravrajet grihadva vanadva. One can take to sannyasa right from brahmacharya also. It is ashrama vikalpa. After brahmacharya, if you don't want to become a grihastha, you can take sannyasa even right after brahmacharya. Brahmacharya deva pravrajet grihadva, or after remaining grihastha for a while, pravrajet, or after vanaprastha also pravrajet, grihadva vanadva. It is ashrama vikalpa. You can take sannyasa at any point of time. Not necessary that you have to go through all four. So sannyasa is open for all. But for a sannyasi, all other ashramas are closed for good. That is why stepping into sannyasa, be careful. Once you step into sannyasa, it is not possible to return. It is one way. There is no return from sannyasa. A brahmachari can become a grihastha. A grihastha can become a vanaprastha. Any of them can become a sannyasi. But a sannyasi cannot become any of them. So it is the ashrama vyavastha. So ashrama vikalpa and ashrama samuccaya are mentioned in Shruti and Smriti. Therefore, sannyasa is very much there. Sannyasa is very much permitted by the Shruti and Smriti. And sannyasa involves giving up of all karmas also. And in support of this, Bhashyakara will quote many Shruti Vakyas and many Smriti Vakyas later on. So, before that, when the Purvapakshi hears that the Shruti enjoins ashrama vikalpa, the Purvapakshi thinks that if the Shruti enjoins any ashrama, there has to be karma in every ashrama. Because every ashrama has its own karmas. If not Shauta karma, it will be Smarta karma. Therefore, in every ashrama, whatever ashrama one takes, he will have to perform his ashrama karma. And if he performs his ashrama karma, he cannot give up karma and take to jnana. Then he will have, even if he goes for jnana, he has to combine the jnana with his ashrama karma. Therefore, Purvapakshi says, in that case, it will be jnana karma samuchchaya. Because if the Shruti asks people to take to any ashrama, they will have to perform their ashrama karma. And along with that, they will have to do jnana. Therefore, jnana karma samuchchaya is siddhaha, is arrived at. Purvapakshi says once again, somehow he is trying to safeguard samuchchaya. Siddhastarhi sarvashraminam jnana karmanoho samuchchayaha. Tarhi, then, if the Shruti and Smriti itself give all ashramas, then the Shruti and Smriti also will give karma for all ashramas. Therefore, jnana karmanoho samuchchayaha siddhaha for all ashramis. Samuchchaya is established. Siddhaha. Then Siddhanti says, na mumukshoho sarva karma sannyasa vidhanat. No, it is not so. For every ashrama, there is no jnana karma samuchchaya. Though for majority of the ashramas, there is ashrama dharma. They have to perform karma of the particular ashrama. Yet, for a sannyasi who is a tivra mumukshu, who has adequate chitta shuddhi, the Shruti enjoins sarva karma sannyasa. Mumukshoha sarva karma sannyasa vidhanat. For a mumukshu, sarva karma sannyasa is enjoined. He does not have to do karma. He has to take to jnana full time. Only commitment to jnana. And that is the type of sannyasa the Shruti enjoins for a tivra mumukshu. And in favor of this, Bhashyakara will quote many Shruti Vakyas as well as from Smriti. We will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.